Hello everyone and welcome back. As you can see, we're all loaded up, ready to go. So let's get to Donington. Well, this is fun. Hello everyone and thank you very much for joining me once again. You join me in the Sprinter. Now, I'll be honest, this video should have been up 3 weeks ago, and because it's about Donington Park. I was at Donington Park 3 weeks ago for my first race of the 2021 season, and well, everything didn't go to plan. So I had some technical issues where all the onboard footage that I had from inside the car on the GoPro, every time I tried to transfer it to a PC or to my phone or anything like that, or a Mac, it was corrupt and I couldn't read it and I couldn't use it. So unfortunately, I had no onboard footage of that weekend. I did take a few little bits and pieces around the track, but not enough to really give you an insight to the weekend, and I'm quite frustrated about that because I was really trying to concentrate this year on bringing you what it's like in the paddock at a race weekend every time I'm there. So unfortunately, like I said, this should have been done 3 weeks ago, but because I had 4 days off over that weekend, my outside of racing life kind of takes priority and I have to catch up with everything that's going on there. So like I say, this is a bit late, but you join me now because I'm heading to the unit to go pick up the race car again. So the next race isn't for another couple of months, but I'm really trying my hardest to get this car up to speed a little bit better. So during the weekend at Donington, I had a lot of grip issues, a lot of setup issues, and I don't really know which direction to go to. Okay, so like I was saying, we're now back in the unit. I'm going to get this thing loaded up onto the trailer now, so it's going to be nice and ready for next weekend when I take to get set up. So I'm actually taking this car to the two-time Renault Clio 182 Championship. He's actually currently the reigning champion of the 182 Championship. He's moved on now. He's into the Civics, into the Hot Hatch Championship. But what better person to look over my car than the two-time champion? So hopefully he might be able to give me some advice as to where I'm going wrong, especially in like wet or damp conditions. But I'm hoping that he might be able to just set this car up so that, well, I'm not struggling with grip. I did give this car a little bit of a tear down last weekend, just checked a few bits and pieces as to where I might have been going wrong, and it turns out that the passenger side front shock was completely on the stiff setting. Don't know how, don't know why, because I didn't alter it. Kind of my bad that I should have probably checked that during the course of the race weekend, but as it's such a busy weekend, I've got so much other stuff on my mind, like making sure the car's fueled up, making sure everything's all tightened up. I didn't really check the suspension, and do you know what, that's my bad. So definitely going to make a note of that for next time we're at a track. I'm going to make sure that I check everything, but again, hopefully they might be able to give you some insight as to what settings I should be running at. I don't know if he's going to be that forthcoming with the information, but we'll soon find out. So anyway, let's get this loaded up and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we are now all loaded up and we are on our way back to where I keep the Sprinter and the trailer. So obviously that's where it's now going to stay until next week when I go and take this to get it set up. Now obviously, as I mentioned previously, I did struggle somewhat at Donington, which is a bit of a shame really, because that track is absolutely fantastic. Now bearing in mind, that was the first time I'd ever been to Donington, which still blows my mind because that is a fantastic track and probably one of the most popular tracks to race at, with good reason. I've done a lot of work on various sims in Donington, and the one thing that I noticed that was a lot different was how big the track actually was, how wide the track actually was. When you play on a sim, it feels really narrow. So I was actually quite apprehensive when I got to Donington that, there wasn't going to be much overtaking, or, I've got to be quite wary of people coming up on the insides and bits and pieces like that. But, do you know what? It was so wide, you could go, there was moments where we had three abreast. especially down the straight. That was quite fun. However, sadly, I did make a few mistakes, and I'm quite gutted about it as well. But again, I think the setup of the car probably didn't help things. So, race 3 in particular was my proudest moment, or what should have been my proudest moment of the weekend, because I'd managed to qualify in 7th for race 3, and the start I had was absolutely fantastic. I went round the outside of a couple of guys and got myself up to 5th. But the problem was then when I came down the hill, I was a little bit too close to the car in front of me, so I lifted off the throttle, and that was a massive mistake. As soon as I lifted off the throttle, it unsettled the car, and well, I almost went off into the grass. I did manage to save it, but at that point I'd slipped quite a few places and went all the way down to about 10th or 11th. From then on, things got a little bit worse. Again, I think the tyres dropped off about midpoint of the race. All 3 races, the car seemed to grip up really well at the beginning of the race, and then by about the 3rd or 4th lap, the tyres just gave up, and I had like massive oversteer, or no, sorry, not oversteer, I had massive understeer, especially when I came to the corners. The braking though on that car is absolutely fantastic. I could brake so late, but yeah, I just don't then have the grip to be able to turn in and maintain it. So unfortunately, like I say, there was a few mistakes and a few bits and pieces happened, but like I said, that was the first time I've been to that track, so all in all, I mean, race 1 was actually pretty good, because qualifying was an absolute mess. So we went out, again, like I said, it was damp conditions. We went out there, I managed to do my warm-up lap. By the time that we were then about to now set our fastest lap, or the first of our fastest laps, a red flag came out. So we lined back up into the pits, waited for obviously the car to be cleared. Unfortunately, somebody had the gearbox spat out a drive shaft, so, and you know what, that actually made it even more slippery, because obviously there was gearbox fluid down at T1. Anyway, then we went back out onto track, and same thing happened. I did my warm-up lap. I then went to do my first time lapped, and well, I ended up facing the wrong way at T1, so where it was actually quite slippy. But again, the car just doesn't want to grip in damp conditions, and like I say, I'm hoping that having it set up, and I might be able to ask a few questions of where I'm going wrong, so we'll see. But yeah, after that lap, I was like, okay, well, this lap's a bit of a write-off, so I went to go do my second lap, and from the second time lap onwards, there was a yellow flag, so I couldn't improve my time, and I started 19th out of 23. So obviously race 1 then came along, and I did manage to finish 12th. I made quite a few overtakes, which was actually really nice, because like I say, the car has pace, especially in a straight line. It's a pretty quick car, but just, yeah, as soon as I get to some of the corners, you can see the guy where I'm losing time. I mean, it's clear where I'm losing time, and that is the corner. So like I say, I'm hoping that it is just a setup thing and it's not just me. I mean, obviously I'm a massive part of the issue as well, but I'm hoping that maybe getting a setup and maybe asking for a few tips, I might be able to get somewhere where I can actually still maintain the top 10. I finished, last season, the races I finished, or the races I did, I was pretty much top 10 or thereabouts all the races. So I'm 12th right now. There's a few new guys, and they're really quick, which annoys me because yeah, my hard work I now seem to have slipped back down to the middle of the pack again. But we'll see. I'm not, like I say, it's not the be all and end all. I would like to progress up the grid a little bit further, so we'll see what the setup does. So Donington Park was also the first time that I got to spend the night in the back of this Sprinter since I've converted it. And do you know what? There probably is a few things I'd like to change. The bed was absolutely super comfortable. I'm so over the moon with that, and that will definitely not get changed. But maybe the kitchen layout. I need to get some steps for the bed. I bought these little steps here, and I did reinforce them, but do you know what? They're not great, and I could do with them a little bit taller as well, so I'm probably going to have to build my own. Now, kitchen units. I had so much storage space, which was absolutely fantastic. However, I do feel as though I'm maybe wasting a bit of space. Maybe if I get rid of the corner unit and put the kitchen units over here, that might be a little bit better. That way I can then probably put some seating area, especially with the TV up there. It might be a little bit more comfortable. So again, these are things that I'm going to have to think about. Again, I would like to actually install a proper sink and a cooker into the kitchen cabinets as well. So again, these are things that I'm probably going to have to do in the future. The heat was a big thing. It was actually really nice and warm with the door shut. The only problem is there was a slight gap on night 2 with that door. It wasn't completely shut, and I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning absolutely freezing. Now, if I'd have had the fuel-fired heater installed, I wouldn't have noticed it because that would have still been going off. Obviously, I would have been wasting heat, but it wouldn't have been as cold in here. So again, that is something I've definitely got to get done at some point. However, with obviously the weather now changing and it's getting a little bit hotter now, hopefully for Silverstone onwards, I won't need it. But I'm hoping that I will have some spare time at some point and actually get that fitted up, maybe even next weekend. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, obviously, I mean, like I say, the bed itself was, for me, the main thing. I had a really good night's sleep. It was really comfortable, so I'm really happy about that. I would still like some kind of toilet in here, I think. So I don't know. I'm still in two minds whether to do that as well. So I've got lots to think about with regards to the Sprinter. I've got loads to think about in terms of the car, but we have got some time before our next race. So obviously these are things that I could potentially address before Silverstone. So thank you very much for watching. I will bring you an update once the car comes back from being set up. But until then, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.